Today on The Riff, Jeremy and Justin talk about the importance of having relationships with those that are spiritually curious and unconvinced. We hope today is helpful and hopeful. Thanks for listening.
Welcome to another episode of The Riff. And Justin, how are you today?
I'm so good. So good. How are you?
I'm great. And I noticed we were just talking about what number of Riff episode this is. And did you say 198-ish?
This one's 198.
198 episodes.
Yeah. Which means the next one's, if I know my math,
Yeah.
it's 199. And then right after that, what everybody's hoping
We're
for.
going to kick off June
200.
with episode 200.
200.
Should we plan for that? Do you think the staff is going to be doing a surprise,
One of the things
a 200th special?
Here's the deal. One of the things I get the privilege of doing is seeing all of the financial accounting.
Okay. Ooh.
And there was a pretty large purchase at Party City.
Oh, no, that makes a lot of sense.
Mm-hmm. So I don't know.
Probably under the guise of kid camp.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No.
We're doing stuff for students and kids.
Yeah, we smell what you're cooking.
I see right through it. So I'm not saying I'm excited.
Was
for
it
all the
itemized? Anything about cannons, confetti cannons?
it was balloons, confetti cannons.
Okay.
Silly string.
Okay.
So much silly string.
Okay.
So I'm excited, yes, but I'm also going to act surprised when it happens.
Last time you were assaulted with silly string.
Yeah, last summer.
Okay.
Yeah, I've got two girls, so it's a summer thing, and I despise it.
Do you fear
I don't think it's
you've got to
biodegradable.
get it off of your skin, your epidermis, before it dries? Because is it like Gorilla Glue?
I think it just seeps in. I think once it hits, you're
It
done.
absorbs?
It does absorb.
Because I heard it takes 7 years to digest
That's
silly
gum.
string.
That's gum.
It's gum?
Yeah, it's gum.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
But I would feel like it's the same idea.
No, absolutely. It's a resin substance.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've got a lot coming up here. So summer, we've got student camps coming up, and we've got kid camp. Well, students camp. I said student camps,
But there's
it's
multiple. There's
students.
There's going to be more than one
Camp.
student there.
Yeah, but one camp. Not
camp.
one student at multiple camps.
It's
No,
students camp. It's their camp.
Yep.
It's for students.
students apostrophe camp.
Students apostrophe.
Plural
yeah.
possessive, yeah.
It's theirs. Yeah, it's theirs.
I love it. So that's coming up. It's going to be at Evangel. It's like 3 full days, and I think some extra credit or something like that. I don't know the schedule, but it's going to be great. And so it's not too late to sign them up.
It's not.
So make sure you go to the website for that. Also, we've got the biggest summer event of Kid Point is Kid Camp. Kids Camp.
Kids
Is it
camp.
Kids Camp?
It's the camp for kids.
The camp for kids.
Yeah.
One camp.
One camp.
all of our
Multiple kids.
Yeah, multiple locations.
Multiple locations.
All those details on the website again. And that one's, we've made that super affordable. As a matter of fact, I think for what they are, both of them fall in line of one of our values is affordability, so we can provide this value for as many people as possible, and still going to be something we're proud of, and that I know as a parent you'll be thankful for, and a student you would have a good time with, or a kid as well.
And there's also scholarships available.
Yeah.
So specifically for both of those, but if you are interested in getting a scholarship to help your kiddo go to camp,
Yeah.
or you're interested in giving
Yeah,
for
absolutely.
a scholarship for kiddos to go to camp, both are open.
Yeah, and it makes a big difference. And we've had every year, and even this year, we've had some people who very generous. They just believe in the mission, whether it's their personal experience, they remember how those kind of environments had an impact on them, or they just wish they did. They just believe in the mission. So yeah, you can go, if you want to participate in a scholarship, you can go to any of our giving links right now. On the drop-down box, there's Family Life Scholarships, Camp Scholarships, I think is the label. But if you do a quick study of the labels, it should be obvious which one is for that. And if you need one, just contact anyone on our team. You certainly could talk to any of us at the campuses, or go to the website and ask any questions there. So very good.
It's great. Is that all we have today?
I think we did.
That was it.
4 minutes?
4 minutes.
No, we also have a couple things coming up. We have a couple master classes coming up. We have some really exciting things in spiritual formation, life that we just really want for all of those who call North Point home. I think summer is an opportunity to grow. So we're going to talk about that in the next couple episodes. But today we want to talk about one of our 5 habits that as we were looking at, we think, man, is so pivotal to our mission. But has been done in different ways throughout different churches throughout times. And so we're going to talk about that. So Justin, kind of kick us off. Which of these habits do we want to talk about today and how?
So this habit is sprinkled. Okay? It's sprinkled throughout anything that you talk about, that North Point talks about, and it's intentional community with those that are unconvinced.
Okay.
Right. So intentional community conversations. Preston, I feel like does a great job with this, of making this something that's very on the forefront. But one thing that you say, I think is really true, is I think this is the first habit that you can hide. Okay. Because the longer you're in Christian community, which is one of the habits, the least likely you are to have community outside of that bubble.
Yeah.
And if you read the Gospels, seems like Jesus was pretty into conversations and community with those that are unconvinced.
Yeah.
So I want to have a conversation of how do you do that? How do you actively do that? And walk through your life, through your days with that habit in mind. And how do you form that habit? How do you keep that habit? That is what we're going to talk about today.
Yeah, that's one. It is so missional because as North Point, I think so. The data is true, and we that's a data that I think it's sobering, even if we haven't been drinking. Okay, so I don't want people to take that out of context and say,
I don't think they are. No.
So it would be alarming.
It would be so alarming
if you're not afraid, because what it is this idea that my impact for those who are spiritually curious decreases the longer my time increases of following Jesus, which is, it's crazy. Like think about this. If I'm going to follow Jesus for a long time, which is a goal, that means I have to be intentional because our culture, because of maybe for a season, I need to cut off influences in my life. I need to be very specific about getting a positive impact and influence in my life, which is great. I'm all about it. But if I never get to a spot where I can now go and invest in the spiritually curious, then while I have a healthy, insulated life, I'm not having much of an impact. And so having an impact is so important to our mission. So that it's true with the church too. They say the number one way that the church globally reaches people is through church plants, because they believe that statistically, the newer the church is, the more they're focused on people who aren't in church. Part of it is the business model. Like if you start a church from scratch, you don't have people. And so part of that is telling people about Jesus. But then the tendency is the longer your church has been in existence, the less urgent your mission is, because you have enough people who are already convinced who fund the mission that you could change the mission to, instead of fund the unconvinced avenues, you just provide insulation for the already convinced, and you will still have a paycheck, you will still have a building, you will still have activity, you will still feel like a church, even though your original mission has changed. And so globally speaking, we see that the longer your church is in existence, the less impactful you are outside your walls. North Point started, when I came to North Point, I think North Point had been going on 9 years at that time. And what was so exciting to me about joining this mission is 9 years old, the mission was so fresh. I mean, that's something that North Point had always really done so well, is this is a place for those outside of these walls. We will serve outside these walls. Everything that's talked about inside these walls needs to make sense to somebody who comes in for the first time. I loved that about the reputation of North Point when I was introduced to North Point. And it's been one of my highest priorities to try and not mess that up, because the moment we lose that, here's the bummer, would still be probably a good church, would be considered a good church to a lot of churches, but we would have lost our mission. So it's true about church. We know that about church because if you haven't been in North Point, when you go to North Point or there's other churches like that. For me, there's other churches out there that when I go visit them, I'm like, man, they're so missional. They're all about the mission and it's inspiring. Let's be that no matter how old we are as a church. Okay, so that's because that's important as a church. We have to be intentional to not just grow old as a church, but to grow sharp as a mission. The church is nothing more than a bunch of individuals. So, and I know you do this really well in your life, is you have always, I try to always have this habit of investing in the spiritually unconvinced in our life. So that's kind of a preamble of why it's important, I guess. How do we do it is we need to, we also need to look at the philosophy is, do we have people in our life that are a target or do we have people in our life that are just in our life? And that's a big difference, right? So what is the difference there? When you hear that, like a target, what comes to your mind and how do churches, not bashing churches because I am one, right? We are one together. But how can that become even a good intention? How can that become like twisted?
Because you're looking for results and not a relationship in that kind of an instance. And I
like the way you word that.
Freaking love results.
Yeah.
I'm like driven by that kind of stuff. But nothing is grosser to me than that when you talk about people. Like it's not.
But what if my heart is pure? What if I'm sitting here, I've followed Jesus for a long time, and so I don't have any natural connections anymore ongoing with people. And then I hear a podcast, I hear a message that says, I need to win someone to Jesus. And so I write down in my Bible as my new Bible bookmark, here are 5 names I'm going after, I'm praying for every day. So my heart is pure. Is it possible that even though my heart's pure in that it could come across nasty?
100%.
Yeah.
And not to you. And that's, you're not meaning anything evil, nasty, twisted by that if you were in that kind of a situation. But I just can't imagine if I'm on the other side or the receiving side of that my heart would open even wider. I'm one of your 5?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
What meaneth this?
I would rather just be like, you want to go to lunch with me?
Yeah.
Awesome. What do you want to talk about? Just my life?
Yeah.
Because Jesus is in it. Like if they don't see it or not, he's here. And it's not like you're bringing Jesus to them. Like he's pretty good at his job.
Yeah.
He just wants us to partner with him. Hands, feet, all of this type of things that we talk about or the Gospels talk about. Like that's what we're called to do is to help them, feed them, right? Clothe them. Like those are the things that we're called to do. We are not going to be like, I don't know, we might. I don't know. I've never been to heaven. Or have I? I don't know. Do we start there? I don't know. But what I don't
I don't think you have. I don't think you have. There are movements that say you might have.
I know, right? But like my thought is like at the end of this, I just can't imagine us bringing a book of like the list of names that we've won. And then they're like, hey, Tim got 57. And everybody's like, 57? Oh, Tim. And then
Employee of the month.
There's silly string everywhere. I just
wash that off.
I can't imagine that. I would much rather in my mind, like I envision like seeing that person I took to lunch where I'm like,
yeah,
what?
Yeah.
You know him.
Yeah.
Like you know him? Like that is way more appealing to me than like we did it. We got the book. They know like I just think it's way more organic, and I think we're going to be so surprised at the end of our life. So that for me is why I would say, and it's one of the things that you do so well, that so many of the team does so well, that it's not led of like, all right, who's the one this week? Yeah. I don't know. Probably the one who walks in. I don't have a name at all right now. So yeah, that's my thoughts on that.
I was talking to a volunteer this last weekend, and she was sharing a story of some of her family who asked her, hey, where are you going? Are you going to church this weekend? And she says they are not church people at all, like not been interested. And they said, hey, we were thinking of maybe coming with you. and they came. This has been a couple weeks. A couple weeks ago, they had said that. They came, and then afterwards, they went to lunch. And she said, well, what was that like for you? Which I love that question. It wasn't like, did you hear from God? It was, did you like it? Like that. It just, what was that like? And it just provided them a natural opportunity to just talk about it. And they say, hey, loved it. We're coming back next week. And she was so excited. And what I loved about just that interaction, I'm not anti-inviting your friends to church. So I don't want to come across like that, because I think sometimes people are open for an invitation. I believe that. The data backs that up. But I think what's more important than inviting them to church is showing up in their world. And when they ask to go to church with you is even more power than an invite. And again, please don't take me out of context. I think there are appropriate opportunities to invite people to church, but I rarely invite people to church. And as a pastor, let me tell you why. For me, I feel like they're thinking that shoe's about to drop. He's going to, this whole thing is building up to an invitation. And then if I say no, then he's out because I'm a target. So for me, it's very rare. Matter of fact, I can't even remember the last time I've did that. Now I can tell you a lot of times when someone showed up to church that's in my world for the first time. But it's not because I invited them to church. It's because we had connection and then they found out. They were like, hey, I want to go. And I've been meaning to come. I'm like, hey, whenever, just let me know. This would be my line. Hey, let me know when it is you're going to come, because I want to see you. I want to help make a good experience for you. I'll tell you the best door to come through and all that. I mean, like I joke about that. I'm like, hey, I want you to have the nicest greeter, right? And the best coffee. So let me help guide your experience. So text me. But so for me, what I do is I fundamentally believe that church invitation, while could be helpful, is not my primary tool. So what I need to do is be involved in someone's life. And if you show up in their world, then they might show up in your world. And so for me, that's often been sports, whether it's just because it's my personality. So I would say that the principle of this is, what do you naturally do and do in a way that other people do? So if it's gardening, if it's sports, if it's parenting, like every season of life, what do you do that other people do and they do together? Like, are we all soccer parents? Are we dance parents? We are in the PTA. I talk about PTA a lot because whatever it is how do I rub shoulders with people consistently so I get to know them, and it's not about me being in charge of them. It's me doing something with them, because I think the power dynamic is also important to notice, right? So how do I get on the same level with somebody else and it has nothing to do with my faith? Now, how do I show up in that area consistently? So a lot of times that's not saying I'm going to shop at Sam's Club every Thursday afternoon, because that's not a real relationship. Or I'm going to go to the same barista. I'm not opposed to you going to the same barista and building a relationship, but it's not the person who cuts your hair. It's not that's great, but that's not the relationship. They're providing a service for you. What are you doing where neither of you have the power, but you're just showing up? So for me, sports is a great equalizer there. We're on a team together. For me, sports cards is a great one. Hey, we're interested in this hobby. And so then eventually that leads to, hey, we're going on this probably 2 times a year. I'll have a weekend where I'm not off speaking. I'm out hanging with my friends around something we like doing, buying cards and selling cards. And
not Hallmark.
Well,
or is it Hallmark?
The chimpanzee Hallmark cards?
They're
hilarious. How do we do that?
Every time you say, I'm going to a card show,
it's more of like coupon cards, and I sell them for $10 a pop. And I just need 3 more people on my downline, and it could save you so much money on local pizza establishments. But so if you're interested, just let me know.
No, for sure, man.
No, sports cards. So for me, it's sports, it's passion, it's interesting. So I've figured out natural opportunities that I enjoy that are life-giving for me. These relationships mean a lot to me. So it's not like, okay, I'm working on them and see if I can add to their life. Like, I have friends in these places that add value to me. They're kind to me. They're the people that I would call if something comes up. They're the people that I trust, that have, they're friends. And so when you do life together, everything comes up, whether it's parenting or whether it's career, or whether it's purpose, whether it's faith. And so it's not like, sweet, okay, how do I hint towards the topic of faith? And then boom, gotcha, where I want you. Now I'm going to save you. It's not about that. So, so for me, it's just, it could be sign up for a team. It's showing up in mutual interest things. You've done that in a work environment, not necessarily at North Point. But like, tell us how you've done that, because you've done it both in the physical, like fitness area and work area. What does that look like for you?
The biggest one is through, like, my father's company. Hands down has been the biggest door for any of those conversations. And then I'll freelance around different areas if I've got time off or whatever. And those are usually the most rich conversations, because the people I hang with, I mean, let's say I hang with 10 people. I'd say out of those 10, usually in a production space like I'm in, maybe one of them goes to church.
Yeah.
And I would say all of them are spiritually curious, because we're all spiritually curious. So it's not like this situation where it's like, these heathens, they don't know Jesus. Like, as soon as I show up on a gig, so I was at a gig last week, and I show up, and it's down in Thunder Ridge. So it's a large stage, a lot of people there. The team's large, and there's like 2 or 3 people that know, like, oh, I work at North Point. And there's one guy specifically, I'm training with him. I'm training him for that week. And he's like, you're a pastor? And I'm like, yeah. And he's like, so you speak? I'm like, I'm not that kind of pastor. I was like, I'm kind of a loose cannon, so don't give me a mic. He's laughing, ha, 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 ha. That's all it says, right? So then we just start talking. Then we're sitting down, we're eating donuts together, and he says some really vulgar stuff. Like, mercy. And then he looks over and he's like, oh, man, I'm so sorry. And I just like, oh, I told you I'm a loose cannon. You're fine, right? And then he's laughing. And after that moment, he opened up with an insane amount of information. Yeah. And it ended up him saying, like, well, I'm in kind of the Nixa area. Like, there's a campus there. And all I say is like, for sure, dude. And I'm like, listen, if you're talking about this a lot. And I didn't say a thing. Yeah. And I don't want to. Exactly to your point. And then I just end it with like, dude, anytime you ever are out there, you want to go to something like that, hit me up, man. Like, you have my number. Here, I'll give you my number. For real, if you ever end up in that space, let me sit with you. That's it. Like, and there's no like, do I hope he shows up? For sure. Right. But do I really hope I get to have another conversation with him? Absolutely. Yeah. Like, that's my goal, is just to learn who this dude is. Because he's been through some crazy stuff, and he's got some crazy stuff going on in his life right now. And Jesus is with him. Like, I really do believe that. I just don't know if he's got the eyes to see or the ears to hear. I don't know. Like, I don't know if he knows it. I don't know if he knows how to, but like, he's surrounding him. He really is. But he's going through it, man. Yeah. So in a church setting, like, the way that you speak, the way that you present it, like, I just think it helps open people's eyes and ears and hearts. And that's the reason I don't hope he comes to North Point to become a giver. And I don't hope he comes to North Point like, right. I just hope he sees Jesus. Yes. I hope he climbs the tree and he's like, I think he's speaking to me. So that's my hope, right? And that's my, like, if you have like this idea of I've got the one, or I've got this list of 5, like, all right, cool. Right. I just hope you have a list of humanity, of people. And it's not name by name. It's just, I want to get to know you. I want to get to know you. So yeah.
I believe in our weekends. I believe that our weekends, as a general, I know that it's not always the case. We want it to be the case, that it makes sense, or that we catch ourselves quickly when we're being insider-ish. And it doesn't change. Some people are like, well, it's a seeker-sensitive church, right? Okay, well, here's the deal. It doesn't change what we talk about. It just changes how we talk about it.
Right.
And it's not leaving anything off the table. It's just making sure that everybody at the table understands what's on the table.
Yep.
Right. So it's not deep to be able to make it confusing. I think it's actually deeper to make it clear. So we believe in the weekend experience. But I would say if you're listening, here's the deal. I hope you're hearing. I think the impact for me has been if I'm spending a couple of days on a weekend with my friends at something as an excuse for us to do life together. Or when I was on the team with Missouri State basketball in the coaching deal, like I would have my weekly lessons with the coaches, and that was fine. But the gold was once or twice a year when I would be able to travel with them, and you're hanging out and you're on the plane or you're in the hotel, and now life comes out. Way more impactful. The guards go down when you're not in a position of power. Yeah. And not that there was power that I was bringing to the table. What I'm saying is when you're going through anything formal, people's guards are up.
Well, and that's the thing too. Why would he say I'm sorry? Because he felt a power dynamic of some
Yes.
and that's where I'm like, hey, no, man,
We're good.
like it's fine. Now, in my mind, I'm like, I don't want to speak like that, right? Like I'm not going to let that influence, but I'm like, there's no but you're right on. You're exactly right with that.
So what do we do with it? I would say, when I was even in college, I've shared this story in messages. I don't need to harp on it, but a lot of training on evangelism, this idea of telling people about Jesus, is about this very structured conversation. Yeah. And it's weird. It's like it reminds me of high school when I had made up my mind, I'm going to ask this girl out today. Like I need to. I already told my friends I'm going to ask her out today. I have to ask her out before I see my friends after school. And now I remember one specific moment where it was the most unnatural opportunity to ask a girl out. But I was like, I told my friends I was going to, and she was trying to get out of the conversation. She's like, I just got to go blow my nose. I'm headed to the bathroom, blow my nose. She had a cold and she wasn't feeling well. And I'm like, hey, Ann, can I ask you a question really quick? And she's going to the bathroom. And she's like, yeah, right, with a stuffed nose. I'm like, will you go out with me? And she's like, let me go blow my nose. And then she came back and said, I don't want that to hurt our relationship. And I was like, well, I was actually thinking that would help our relationship, but that's cool. So, but I remember it's funny now because I'm like, that was so unnatural. Like it was so unnatural asking this girl why? Because I told my friends I was going to. I had to figure out a way to put this in the conversation. We do that spiritually. Hey, what's your relationship with Jesus like? And then wait till it naturally comes up. And so with that, we need to have open time with people without an agenda, and then that's the goal. So the goal isn't to throw the conversation out. The goal is how am I investing my life with other people? Now, the goal there is, how do I love people? How do I serve people? How do I do all these things? If you're here and if you have people who are spiritually unconvinced in your life and they've been a target, a prayer list for you, which is fine, keep praying for them and have their names in your Bible. I think that's fine. I'm not against that. I'm just saying, take the pressure off of you that you have to make the invitation and make the passion within you, I've got to spend time. Have a barbecue without any agenda.
Yeah.
Because then it feels like a sales pitch.
And I think that a lot of times in the Christian world, I think that when we say you don't have an agenda, I think people come back and they're like, what do you mean? You want them to meet Jesus? It's like, yeah, but that's not the agenda. Like the agenda is to get to know them, right? Which is why spending time inside of Christian community is so important as well. Yeah. Because it's there to build muscle. It's there to build you up, to create character so that when you get into these situations, the character comes out and they have the questions. Yeah. And you don't even have to have an agenda because you've spent so much time in this space learning and growing and crafting who you are and who your identity is, that it's easy to see when you're in that space. And they're like, what is that? Like, what is that? Oh, Yeah, let's have a conversation. And there's no agenda. Like I don't walk into those spaces like, all right, okay, here we go. Like
Look for any opening. Let's bring up Sundays, and then, but I think you bring up such a good point. Is some people be like, oh man, well I go hang out with my friends and I end up getting hammered, and you're like, well, okay, so now what that means is just get strong enough so that your value system isn't so distracting that when now you want to be in an environment. I'm not afraid to be in an environment that doesn't look very churchy. I am not afraid to be in that environment. I don't care, right? At the same time, I don't want to be the one who's making it look not very Jesus-y. And so I have to have strength when I go there, but never let, well, this doesn't feel very churchy, like, because it's not. So if you're there and you don't have a crew of people that you're just being with, join something. And I joke about it. Join a club. Like for real, do it. Like join a team, join a club, join a something so that, and then just shut up and listen and just talk and serve, and don't make it your goal at first to not talk about faith. Make them bring it out of you at first. And I'm not saying you never want to. I'm just saying if you're wired to just talk about faith, just hold it for a little bit and talk about cars, talk about whatever it is you want to talk about. Right. Have the neighborhood over, fireworks. I think by 4th of July, what would it look like at 4th of July? All of us just were great neighbors with our apartment complex, with our neighborhood, our cul-de-sac, wherever it might be. And we had no pressure that we have to like seal the deal before the fireworks. But it was just like, let's provide a really cool experience. I've got an uncle who does this so well at 4th of July. And I know that's coming up. We got plenty of week to plan. And he was a pastor forever, and he's about as Christian cultured as you get. But one of the things he does, he moved into this place, and it's like this mobile home community. And he retired there, and he decided, okay, here's what I want to do. I want for Halloween, and I think we can do this for 4th of July. He had this hot dogs and chili and drinks all for free at my place. Right? And then we all go trick or treat. But it's just, this is the place I'm giving this all out. Well, that's not crazy. It's not new. But after that, during that conversation, the relationships, people are like, hey, oh, you retired? You were a pastor? Hey, could you be our neighborhood's chaplain? Because they have a neighborhood newsletter. And then the next newsletter, if you have anything going on, a struggle in life, here's Tim's cell phone number. You can consider him our chaplain. And he didn't get there by inviting them to church.
Because people are spiritually curious.
They're curious. So this 5 habits is they're curious. I believe the bridge of relationship is how next steps flow. So let's position ourselves not to pop the question, but to just serve people. So anyway, 5 questions.
All right,
or 5 habits.
We're almost done.
Yeah.
But when you were traveling with the Bears,
did
you ever feel like you were going to get in a game? Did you have a hope?
Not often. Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So, I mean, there was one game we were at Drake and we were down at halftime, and I know that I'm not there for X's and O's.
No.
But at the same time, I'm not there for X's and O's.
You know your stuff.
They turned it around at halftime. We went to overtime. We won a big game against Drake, and when I remember at the time, I'd said to one of our players coming out of the locker room, I was like, dude, we got this. And the way he looked at me,
yes,
he knew we do have this. And when we ended up having it officially and we won the game, he didn't say anything and he didn't have to. I know that if I look back at halftime when I said we got this, because before he was probably wondering, do we have this?
And you helped.
But the character coach said, we do have this.
Did coach ever recognize that?
Internally?
Yeah.
Yep. And here's the deal. I don't want the reward.
No.
Because I think I'm going to get one in heaven.
If you got into the game,
I don't want to talk about it.
Would you be beyond the arc type of player? Are you a post guy? What would you have been?
A biscuit in the basket from way downtown, bang. I'm top of the key. Don't let me shoot. So, I mean, here's the deal. I've played this game often. How much time would have to elapse in this game for the entire crowd to be like, someone doesn't belong here? And I think put me in a D1 college basketball game, I think it's within 30
You
seconds.
think so?
Well, if I shoot before 30 seconds, yes. Major League Baseball, I can hang on there until I bat. But if you put me in right field, I think maybe a couple innings, unless they hit it to me. But I can like spit, adjust, all that stuff, whatever they do, right? Football, it's first play.
You're
first
done. You're done.
But college basketball, I don't know. And then the other question is, how many points would I get? Like right now in the NBA playoffs, if you put me, on the Celtics right now in one game, and I could play as much as I want to play, right? I might get winded, but how many points would I score?
0.
I think I'd get 4.
How? By getting fouled?
I hope I don't get fouled. That would hurt so bad.
Like they would take you out.
Yeah, I don't think I'd score. How many points
4?
would my opponent score?
A lot.
Oh, so much.
Oh.
So many points. So many points.
4 points for real?
No, I don't think I'd score.
Oh, okay. All right.
I averaged 6 in high school. And that was at the lowest level of northern Idaho. So I don't know what that translates to NBA. Probably more like 3.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Well, your arc shot. It's
Yeah.
there.
My knee's not as good, but my mind is sharper. All right. Hey, I think we filled out our time. So 5 habits, investing in the spiritually unconvinced. It's not a program, it's a rhythm. And so let's do it because that's our mission. So thanks for being with us today.
Thanks for listening to this episode of The Riff. We'll have a brand new episode every week, wherever you find podcasts.